Psalm 139 is a favorite for many people because it talks about God's intimate love and personal involvement in our lives. When we look at the Poetic Devices, these points hit home even harder. Now, this psalm splits itself into 4 stanzas, and the first stanza is about how God knows everything about me. Let's go. So we're gonna start by zooming into verse 2 to 3 because these 4 lines are so packed with poetic devices. Really beautiful. Let's take a look. First thing to notice here is that there are 4 actions done by man: sitting, rising, traveling, and settling. The first 2 actions are simple, but the next 2 actions moves towards more complexity. Traveling is about going on a journey. Perhaps you're taking the bus to school, or even planning a vacation trip and flying somewhere far away. The next word, settling, is really a posture word. It's about reclining into something, and so there's implication that you're planning to settle in a place for a while. Perhaps you've just arrived work and you're unpacking your bag and settling into your workspace. Or perhaps you recently moved homes or even moved to a new country and you've brought all these boxes of belongings and you're slowly unpacking them as well. Next thing to notice is that these words comes in pairs, and these pairs represent a poetic device called merism. A merism is when 2 parts are used to refer to a whole. And so here it's not just sitting and rising, but also everything that happens in between. And it's not just traveling and settling, but also everything that happens in between. Next thing to notice is that these 4 actions are arranged as a chiasm. And here, what it means is that it has an A, B, B, A format. Sitting and settling correspond to one another, and rising and traveling correspond to one another. While there are 4 actions that are done by man, there are also 4 actions that are done by God. You knew, you understood in detail, and you intimately knew. The first 2 actions are also simple, and the next 2 actions are more complex. Understanding in detail. The word here in Hebrew means to spread something in the air. It is originally a farming term that means winnowing, and so this term has also come to mean simply spreading things onto a surface and scattering them, and that's the level of detail that God understands in our life. The word here, intimately knew, it means to have familiarity and a habit of doing something. Perhaps I'm playing piano and I've practiced this section so many times that I can play it with my eyes closed. Or perhaps I'm cooking a dish that I've been cooking for a very long time, and so I no longer need to look at a recipe. That's the kind of intimate knowledge that God has over our lives. While we experience everything new firsthand, God, who is beyond time, has that kind of intimate and acquainted knowledge over our lives. Very cool here is that these 4 actions done by God are also arranged as a chiasm in an A, B, B, A format. When we put all these observations together, we start to see something really cool happen. It's almost as if man and God is in a beautiful and intricate dance. Every time that man tries to make plans of increasing complexity, God knows all his actions and all his thoughts and intents and all his way of life in increasing complexity. God can match that and more. When we zoom out into verse 1 to 4, we see another poetic device here called inclusio. And inclusio is when you have a repeated word or phrase, and these repetitions mark a frame into a section and also gives us a hint into the main ideas. And so here, our inclusio is, "O Lord, you knew. Truly our Lord knows everything about us." Now that we have the poetic structures in view, let's read these 4 verses and let the poetic devices come to life. I have highlighted God's actions in yellow and man's action in blue. O Lord, you have searched me and you knew. You knew my sitting and my rising. You understood my intentions from afar. My traveling and my settling, you understood in detail. And all my ways, you intimately knew. Even without a word on my tongue, Behold, O Lord, you knew everything. For this passage to really become personal and for the message to really settle into our own hearts, I want to invite you to think about every time that you sat down and got up today. From the moment that you got out of bed and to every seat that you sat on today. God knows everything. And then think about all the traveling that you've done today, whether you took the bus, took the train, or maybe even took the plane. Think of all the steps that you took, all the distance that you covered. And think of all the places that you settled in. Each time that you changed locations, think of all of those. God knows all of that as well. When you think about how God knows everything about you, all the details, how does that make you feel? Does it make you feel really loved and well known? Or does it make you uncomfortable? What kind of thoughts come to mind? Please let me know in the comments below. Would love to read them and also reply to them. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.